I'm the Minister to champion the local government group's place-based productivity programme. So I'm quite deeply involved with you all here. Yesterday's spending review announcement, and you know you've probably had enough of that this morning, made the scale of the economic challenges clear. In addressing the legacy of the public deficit that we inherited, the government has taken tough decisions through the spending review to ensure we can restore economic stability as soon as possible. It is true that government grant to local government, excluding schools, police and fire, will reduce by 26% in real terms, but between now and 2014 and 15. So that's the term of the spending review. And it is clear that councils will need to make choices to find significant savings while focusing on the key priorities of maintaining frontline services. But this challenge is matched by the government's radical reform programme of decentralisation, which is handing unprecedented freedoms and flexibilities to councils, reducing ring fencing and thus giving each council more control over its budgets. The spending review delivers a challenge but fair settlement for local government. We have in the department worked very hard to deliver a fair deal, which will protect the frontline services that people rely on. And we are confident that you will be able to ensure that those services are maintained by eliminating waste and by radically rethinking frontline services. As Baroness Eaton, who I know opened this conference this morning, has said, we should cut 100% of the waste, red tape and junketing before we even contemplate reductions to frontline services. Now, the productivity challenge facing councils is how to manage the impact of reduced funding by identifying those areas where savings can be made. And at a time of general reductions in expenditure and resources, it's essential that we look closely at every aspect of the way money is spent and make changes and reductions by closer working with others in the local area. Success will depend on the appetite, ambition and leadership at local levels for councils to make use of their new freedoms and flexibilities to deliver better for less. The wrong thing to do, I believe, at this time is to cut spending without focusing on the alternatives. Longer-term change must be approached imaginatively and thoughtfully to deliver innovative transformation to services. Now, I acknowledge that this is work which central and local government must undertake together. And that is why the Secretary of State and I fully support the Local Government Association's place-based productivity programme. Indeed, we were here at the launch earlier on this year. In these times, and where service changes are proposed, our residents must be able to see how decisions are being made and how they have an opportunity for influencing them. Now, transparency has an important role to play here. It is why local authorities have already been required to publish expenditure over £500 and to give details of senior staff salaries. By doing this, local authorities open up their spending to their communities. The public will not forgive councils who do not cut out all waste before squeezing those frontline services. And indeed, if we say that there is no waste, then perhaps we all ought to look carefully at Sir Philip Green's report, who identified hosts of areas where reductions can be made or where there is not enough control over what is being done. Some councils have already made a good start. Indeed, all of you here may have made a good start. It's always invidious to have examples, but I'm going to have examples nonetheless. Nottinghamshire and Somerset are already reviewing every single service that they offer. They are between them asking, does it really need to be done? Does it provide value for money? and are we the best people to be doing it? Just down the road from here, Hammersmith and Fulham have begun to merge their education services with neighbouring Westminster, Kensington, Chelsea. I declare an interest of former leader of that borough, and to deliver savings and to improve collaboration between their services. The place-based productivity programme will identify some recommendations on how to achieve short-term savings and longer-term transformational services changes. It is vital that all councils embrace the recommendations drawn from the examples identified through this programme. And Rob Whiteman, who is on the platform, who is leading this work for the Local Government Association, will, after I have finished, talk through how the programme is progressing. Procurement and collaboration can potentially offer significant savings. Local governments, as you know better than I, spends around £42 billion a year on goods and services. Harnessing this buying power through improved collaboration and working with suppliers to reduce contract prices will help councils to deliver some of those savings. For example, 16 London boroughs have saved more than £10 million by buying ICT hardware collaboratively through an e-auction. The National Improvement and Efficiency Partnership has saved over £26 million already, and over the next few years will save a further £40 million through collaborative contracts for construction, procurement, and through better asset management. Andrew Smith, who is the Chief Executive of Hampshire, who was instrumental in that work, is also leading the work stream looking at procurement collaboration and assets within the productivity programme. It is salutary, I think, to realise that local councils own over £128 billion worth of buildings and land across the country. And in total, there is over £370 billion owned by the public sector. We want to encourage more councils to think innovatively about how they manage their assets and co-locate services. Kent, I'm advised, estimates that county-wide approaches to jointly managing local authority assets and other public sector assets could deliver around £40 million per annum potential revenue savings. Now, this is not only for financial economies of scale, but also because co-location of services means that local residents have only one point of call for advice and help. And some authorities are already looking to bring together local services, health, job centres, and police and local authority services into one area or building, thus making that point about residents not having to go all over the place a reality. And this is why my department has also set up a capital asset pathfinder group, which I chair, to complement the work of the place-based productivity programme. These pathfinders will help encourage more areas to take the steps needed to unlock the potential savings and benefits of better asset management and capital alignment. Now, we do want to know if there are any barriers that might stop others joining up, and to help them overcome it, so it becomes easier for others to follow the lead to deliver even better customer-focused services. So if any of you know of any barriers, please will you be sure to let us know, because we would like to try and resolve those. The streamlining and merging of operations through the service transformation will also be vital. Now, there are some really good examples of shared services. Councils across Lincolnshire are working together to share legal services, and indeed I know that other counties are doing the same. That will save over £1 million. And there are also good examples of councils working in partnership with the private sector to deliver services, and to name just one, Birmingham City Council has saved over £541 million in a joint venture with Capita. Yesterday's announcements paved the way for radical service transformation. The first phase of community budgets will be established in 16 places from April 2011, and we intend to make these generally available from 2013-14. And to ensure this happens, we will pool central funding from relevant budgets so that councils and other local public service bodies, including the voluntary and community sector, can work together to provide cohesive services for families, particularly for families with complex needs. Now, the removal of conditions from the majority revenue grants and the streamlining of grant funding will give local authorities greater control over more than £7 billion worth of funding. It should encourage innovation by enabling local areas to take decisions about how services are delivered and align and pool budgets through local agreement with other public sector bodies. We are looking to local government to make the maximum use of this flexibility. It's something for which it has asked for a long time. And again, if there are barriers to doing so, we would like to know. But we're committed to going further. The Secretary of State's mantra is localism, localism, localism. And we've already removed a lot of central prescription and red tape. We stopped swathes of centralised data reporting. We've abolished local area agreements, the national indicator set, comprehensive area assessments, and we are reviewing the statutory duties on local authorities. But there is more to be done to tackle the central barriers and burdens that impinge on councils being able to enhance the productivity of their services. I am aware of the anxieties of some councils about framework contracts being limited by EU law. This may be something you and yourselves know about, but as a result of having been asked about this a little while ago, we are looking into this as part of the work on procurement. There are small things that we can address quickly. We have been sent extensive lists of barriers and burdens that currently take up time and energy. And as part of our role in the place-based productivity programme, my department will be working to tackle these barriers. So I'm a big supporter of what the local government group is trying to achieve through the place-based productivity programme, because this programme will offer the support councils need to help them bridge the gap in funding, work more collaboratively, and transform local public services. I am upbeat about the future for local government and localism in general. It provides something which 10 years ago, as leader of a council, I would given my eye teeth to have: the responsibility and the wherewithal to provide leadership, working with residents, public and voluntary organisation for a common good. I end by saying, what an opportunity has opened up. I hope you will seize it.
Thank you.